Hi everyone, here's a roundup of the top news around the globe. My name is Angeline, and this is the Daily Watch. The COVID-19 global death toll has reached more than 1 million, with half of the world's total fatality coming from the United States, Brazil, India, and Mexico. As of this reporting, there are a total of 33.8 million cases globally, more than 1 million deaths, and more than 25 million recovered. In the US, there's concerns of a potential more aggressive spread of the virus as the US heads into the fall and winter. The US is definitely not in a good place, recording the highest number of deaths per country in the world at more than 206,000. In Europe, the dreaded second wave has arrived. The UK government is planning to impose a lockdown across most of northern England and potentially London to combat a second wave. Angela Merkel warned that daily cases in Germany could rise to 19,200 infections per day by Christmas. Italy will more than likely extend a state of emergency due to expire in mid-October to help keep the COVID-19 crisis under control. In Asia, India has been seeing 80,000 to 90,000 new infections per day since it started reporting the world's highest daily cases from late August. It is expected to become the worst hit country in the world, surpassing the US in the next weeks. Meanwhile, contrary to experts' expectations, the African continent seemed to have fared quite well in holding off the worst of the coronavirus, defying initial disease prediction models that painted a grim picture of the potential death toll. South Africa, which has the worst tally in the continent, has recorded more than 665,000 cases and 16,206 deaths. That represents about 28 deaths per 100,000 people compared to more than 61 deaths per 100,000 in the US. And despite some countries such as Ethiopia, Algeria, and Nigeria struggling with bigger outbreaks, most countries have largely contained the spread of the virus, which WHO credits to aggressive measures at the onset of the pandemic that enforce strict guidelines to people's movements in order to slow down community transmissions. In lesser grim news, President Trump and Democratic nominee Joe Biden faced off in one of the most chaotic White House debates in years ahead of the November 3rd U.S. presidential elections. The first of the three scheduled presidential debates before the said elections has turned into a tumultuous disaster, with Trump trying to control the conversation, constantly interrupting Biden and talking over the moderator. At one point, Biden snapped and told him to shut up and called him the worst president the nation has ever had.
Will you shut up, man?
Listen,
China ate your lunch, Joe.
You're the worst president America has ever had.
Hey,
Come
Joe,
on. I'm not here to call out his lies. Everybody knows he's a liar.
But you
I just
agree.
want to
Hey,
make sure.
Joe, you're the liar.
I want to make sure.
Graduated last in your class, not first in your class.
I want to make
Mr.
sure.
President, can you let him finish, sir?
No, he doesn't know how to do that.
You know what?
Absolutely not
Stop.
true.
Tape doing it.
You're going to
You're on
have
tape.
True.
Gentlemen. I hate to raise
Chris,
my voice,
he's
but I
on
see it seems
tape.
to be, why shouldn't I be different than the two of you?
The debate would have been an opportunity for Trump to address his obvious political vulnerabilities, such as his mismanagement of the pandemic and his refusal to condemn white supremacy and right-wing extremist groups to appeal to the voters who disliked him. Instead, he ignored substantive questions and policy arguments, launched an attack on both of Biden's sons, and made no attempt to convince voters about his leadership.
He panicked or he just looked at the stock market. One of the two, because guess what? A lot of people died.
China ate your lunch, Joe, and no wonder your son goes in and he takes out billions of dollars, to manage. He makes millions of dollars. And also,
Simply
while we're
not
at it,
true.
why is it, just out of curiosity, the mayor of Moscow's wife gave your son $3.5 million. What did he do to deserve it? What did he do with Burisma to deserve $183,000?
None
You've
of
asked
that
a question,
is true.
let him answer.
None of that is true.
Oh, really?
According to a CNN post-debate poll, 6 in 10 says Biden won that debate. The second debate is scheduled for October 15th and the last one on October 22nd. On the upside, researchers are close to finding a potentially game-changing solution to the world's plastic waste crisis. Scientists have engineered a super enzyme that breaks down plastic 6 times faster than previous research achieved. The enzyme feeds on the type of plastic that water and soda bottles are made of, which can take hundreds of years to degrade. The enhanced enzyme can break plastic down in just a few days, and scientists are confident that they can further optimize it to work even faster down the road. Plastic pollution is one of the world's most pressing environmental issues. Today, we produce about 300 million tons of plastic waste per year. This is nearly equivalent to the weight of the entire human population. John McGeehan, lead co-author and director of the Center for Enzyme Innovation at the University of Portsmouth, believes that this latest development represents a huge step towards recycling plastic and reducing plastic pollution. This could mean that existing plastic can be recycled instead of using fossil fuels to create new plastic. This will also result in huge energy savings. That's it for today, and thanks for watching. If you enjoyed today's content or learned anything new, press that like button. Bye!